Good morning, everyone watching live on BAM YouTube. Let me know in the comments where you are tuning in live from. The hot sheet covers what you need to know about the real estate industry in a 24-hour time period. On today's hot sheet, I will discuss Dallas Fed's warning about the housing market, alternatives to traditional appraisals, alternatives, yes, to additional appraisals, and owning versus renting a home. Today is Thursday, March 2nd, 2023. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. We're back in Connecticut, finishing out the week here. We'll be in Connecticut again tomorrow on the hot sheet. Hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed the struggle as much as I haven't this week. I appreciate all you guys tuning into the hot sheet. And we've got a whole bunch here to cover. We've got huge moves on the 10-year. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, Dallas Fed housing market is only passing through a modest correction, but tighter than expected monetary policy could trigger a more severe price drop. All right, let's see what the updated information here is as of 5:13 a.m. this morning. Lance Lambert over at Fortune was working hard this morning. Let's check out what the information is. Oh, here we go. That is not my Kobe Bryant picture is not it. All right, let's get out of that and see what's going on here. I do have the article up. Let's try this again. No, we are not getting there. All right, I guess we're going to work on that here. And I'm on the iPad, Bobby. Yeah, this is beautiful. All right, so here we go. I'll read you guys the information instead of seeing it. I do have some charts. Hopefully, I'll be able to show you guys that. This is doing a live show. Let us know in the comments if you're enjoying it. Okay, so back in March 22. The Dallas Fed published real-time market monitoring finds signs of brewing housing bubble. Soon afterwards, the Fed economist Enrique Martinez Garcia said that while pandemic housing boom isn't the same story as the lead up to the 2000s housing crash, we talked about this the last couple of days here on the hot sheet. He said home prices were quickly becoming detached from underlying fundamentals. This might be a housing bubble, is what they said back in 2022. As interest rates started to get jacked up, the evidence suggests it looks like a housing bubble. Little bit like a duck, okay? Looks like a duck. It certainly might be a duck. Walks like a duck, talks like a duck, okay? Raise awareness to the potential risks that housing possesses. Okay, so let's fast forward to today and what the Dallas Fed is saying now. The economists at the Dallas Fed once again warning about the downside risks in the U.S. and European housing markets, which have already slipped into a slump following the start of central banks' rate hiking cycles in 22. But while the price growth has recently begun to moderate, or in some countries to decline, right? In America here, it has started to decline. The risk of a deep global housing slide persists, okay? Affordability crisis arise often from unsustainable, widespread, exuberant behavior. Particularly concerning, housing has become more prone to excess spending across borders, resulting in major misallocation of resources and efficiency losses. Okay, so I do have some charts here that I don't know if we're going to be able to show or not. Looks like we've got some technical difficulties with the switcher. They'll be available down below in our daily download as we put all of our everything down below in the daily download available for you. So that'll be available, and it doesn't look like this thing is going to work. All right, so essentially we've got one chart here, and I'll read it off to you. The housing bubble hypothesis merits attention. Real house price index sits at 125.75. So what that basically means is you're well over. You want it to be at 100 or below, right? 108 on house price to rent ratio and 104 to house price to income ratio. In order to bring the U.S. in line with housing fundamentals, Dallas Fed economist says to U.S. home prices would need to fall 19.5%, okay, in line with fundamentals as it relates to renting a house. And we talked about this the last couple of days. I've been talking about it for the last week and a half, where all of a sudden that gap is getting so much wider. I have a chart here that you can just get in the daily download because I won't be able to show it to you. That shows that we are the house price index in comparison to owner's equivalent rent of residences is over 50% now. That gap today is 54.2%. This is why, and agents have been getting annoyed with me saying this, but it's just the truth. You can't just always tell people it's a great time to buy. The gap between the house price index and owner's equivalent rent of residences is 54.2%, meaning the top line, house price index, and the bottom line, owner's equivalent of renting those residences, has a 54% gap. The last time we saw a gap anywhere close to 40% was back in 2006. It's wider than that gap. So really, listen, a couple of years ago, when we were talking about really low interest rates, we didn't have this gap. In fact, it was cheaper to buy a house in almost every market in America. If you look at Redfin's data center, they did a great job of covering this. If you look at Redfin's data center now, it's going to be reflective of this gap. The spread between two housing prices rose 39.3% in January 2006. After the bubble, the spread narrowed to 0.7% in December 2011. Okay, so those two lines touched in 2011. The spread peaked in May 2022 to 63.3%. The latest spread is 54.2%. And I'll get at the end of the show, when we look at the 10-year and the 30-year, that spread is going to get closer to 60% right now. Okay, so there's going to be some people where, if they're trying to literally put food on the table, they may have to make a 12-month decision of staying a renter. It's not something I want to see people do in the long term. I want to see people become homeowners. I want to see people be able to take care of their family and generational wealth through home ownership. But right now, that gap is extreme, and the affordability issue in this country is certainly getting out of control. Okay. While a modest housing correction remains the baseline scenario, going back to what Dallas Fed's comments were this week, the risk that a tighter than expected monetary policy may trigger a more severe price correction that cannot be ignored in the U.S. Okay, so what would a tighter, more severe monetary policy be? The stock market, and today the stock market is reacting to where the 10-year is, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Stock market is down overall. Futures were down. Dow's up a tick right now. S&P's down. NASDAQ is down. Okay, but essentially the Dow is flat. Futures were down earlier. What does a more severe monetary policy look like? It looks like the Fed coming in March and going to a 0.5 point basis increase instead of what the stock market had priced in, which was just a 0.25 increase. We'll see what they do, but everything since their last meeting has pointed in the direction of them getting more firm with their actions in the March meeting. Okay. The pandemic housing boom was a global phenomenon. So it wasn't just here in the US. There's a table that shows you almost every major country and what happened with housing from 1981 all the way until today. So you can grab that in our daily download. Unfortunately, I cannot show that to you today. Okay. Well, last thoughts from the Fed. Despite the risk of material correction in housing prices, several factors may help reduce concern that such a correction would trigger a wave of mortgage defaults and potentially destabilize the financial situation. One is that because of relatively tight mortgage underwriting in the 2010s, the credit scores of mortgage borrowers today are generally higher than they were prior to that of the last housing correction. So we've talked about it yesterday. We have 44% where we're down on mortgage applications. Part of that is to do with obviously the high interest rates, but part of it is to do with not everybody qualifies like they did in 2006, 2007. Okay. And right now, this chart will blow your mind. Really wish I could show it to you. All right. So Bobby's going to help us out here. Go to Yeah, let's show them all. Let's go show that one because I missed that one. All right. Let's go to that one. This isn't the one I'm talking about. We'll get to the one I'm talking about here in just a second. It's coming. It's coming on the screen. There you go. Which one are we looking at? Because what I'm seeing on the screen is there you go. Okay, now show the one right before that. There you go. Okay, so here's that real house price index. This starts to show you the gap. The next slide, go to that next one. Here's that gap that I was talking about. Okay, so we're sitting here at 54.2% today, and it might get a little bit wider from that house price index to the owner's equivalent of rent of residences. Okay, we didn't see anything even close to this unless we go all the way back to 2006. That gap started to slowly get wider throughout the years. Listen, almost every market, if you were getting in at 2.5%, you were going to be pretty good. Okay. 90 Goldman Sachs here has a chart. This is 99% of outstanding mortgages. I don't know if you can get to that one. 99% of outstanding mortgages have interest rates below what they are at today. So 99% of people, that little one, not that one. No, that one. Yeah. Show that one. 99% of people who have a mortgage today have an interest rate below where we're sitting at. And we're gonna hit 7% today. There's no doubt about it. Okay, we were up in the 6.9s yesterday on the 30-year fix. So 99% of people with a mortgage are sitting with an interest rate below where it's at today. It's one of the biggest contributors to our inventory problem. Yes, we haven't built enough homes. Yes, there's a lot of people who bought in the last couple of years and who aren't going to sell 1 year later. But if you're sitting at 99% of people less than a 7% interest rate, it's going to be hard for them to move up to that next house and leaving behind 2.5, 2.75, 3%. That's the reality. That's what this housing market is up against. It's also one of the reasons why in median prices and below, I don't believe we'll see a 30% drop in those prices. Now, with what the Dallas Fed is warning against, significant price drop, I could see that in certain specific price ranges in your market, right? So it might be in your market 500 to $1 million, right? It might be $1 million to $1.5 million. It's not necessarily going to be from 300 to 400,000 in your market. Let me know if you agree. And I see who put all those graphs are down below. We have one daily download. So the one that I was talking about was a Goldman Sachs Global Investment Research. But the Denton Realtor, you can just grab the daily download link below and everything's going to be available for you right there. We've got some technical difficulties today here on the hot sheet, so it hasn't been as fluid. Let's move over to Fannie Mae's announcement, and then we'll talk about the 10-year. Fannie Mae announced yesterday alternatives to the traditional appraisal. I've debated appraisers. Appraisers and agents have not always seen eye to eye on values. Okay. And there's a lot of reasons why. We won't go that deep into that. If you want to see maybe to link up the appraisal debate that we had, myself and Scap, the appraiser, somebody who's a leader in the appraisal industry, we had a lot of fun with it. Debate's not a bad word. It's how we learn. Right. And so we need to work with appraisers as agents, and appraisers need to work with agents, right? It needs to be a really collaborative approach, right? And helping each other is really important. Well, on March 1st, just 2 days ago, Fannie Mae updated its selling guide. Among the updates is changes to valuation modernization. You can find this article on nowbam.com and the link to the Fannie Mae selling guide. They announced it's transitioning to a range of options to establish a property's market value, including new alternatives to the traditional appraisal. In its announcement, Fannie Mae said that we are on a journey of continuous improvement to make the home valuation process more efficient and accurate. As such, we are transitioning to the range of options to establish a property's market value, with the option matching the risk of the collateral and the loan transaction. The spectrum balances traditional appraisals with the appraisal alternative. So let's take a look at what's on Fannie Mae's website and what they have. You've got the right one up, Bobby. Value acceptance, data model, and technology driven. Okay, so value acceptance is an appraisal waiver. Okay. Value acceptance plus property data is the other value acceptance option. So that's an automatic value certainty with rep and warrant relief. Let me know in the comments if that is something that is enticing to you, or if you see issues with value acceptance, meaning an appraisal waiver, right? Where are they accepting the contract price? Who puts together an appraisal package as a listing agent? Meaning an appraisal package for the appraiser. The listing agent would put that together if that's what you're asking. And then value determination, appraisal driven. Okay, so you've got the hybrid approach, the desktop approach, and the traditional approach. We know what the traditional approach is. Okay, traditional appraiser collects the property data, completes the market analysis required for the appraisal for complex property types, a situation where data is sparse. Okay, so what are these desktop and these hybrid approaches? Desktop appraiser completes an appraisal without physically inspecting the property using data from various sources, agents, homeowners, MLS, tax records, and more, best suited for purchase transactions. I believe that the desktop appraisal is good if you've got a community, maybe 500, maybe 1,200 homes. I'm thinking South Florida. I'm thinking Texas. I'm thinking Arizona, where you've got 3, 4, 5 floor plans. Okay, let me know if desktop appraisals you think in those type of communities work. Maybe in your market, maybe they don't work. Love to know why. The hybrid appraisal, that's property data collected by a trained and vetted third party, the agent, inspector, appraiser. Okay, it's passed to an appraiser to perform an enhanced version of the desktop appraisal for loans that do not qualify for value acceptance or do not have reliable prior observations of the subject property. Okay, so the hybrid appraisal and the desktop appraisal do take into account what the agent believes more so than the traditional approach. Okay, so I'm a fan of going hybrid and desktop. There's going to be agents that say, well, you got to be real local, and I get that argument. But if you can really state your case and put together a package like what Rebecca was talking about as the listing agent, then you can have a say in the process as they switch to this. So this is going to become more of the norm to help speed up the transaction and to help reduce costs for buyers. Okay, so I believe that Fannie Mae is trying to improve the process. And maybe I'll do a second follow-up with Scap the appraiser or some people from the appraisal community. I know some in the appraisal community don't want to get away from the traditional approach. I believe innovating on what the traditional approach has been in some markets, in some situations, is going to make a lot of sense. The more we can speed up the process, I believe, like Zillow believes, in fact, that we'll actually see more transactions happen, right? If we can eliminate some of the friction and the costs around the transaction, you're naturally going to expect that you'll see more real estate transactions happen. Okay, big news today is the 10-year. Okay, what's going on with the 10-year? We saw it inching up towards 4%, and yesterday it did hit 4% on the 10-year Treasury yield. We are sitting today, right now, as you see on the screen, at 4.06. We're up 0.07 basis points, and this is the first time since November of 2022 that we've hit 4% on the 10-year. Bobby, when we go to the 30-year, don't show that. Google's always wrong. If you just Google 30-year fix, it's not going to go to Mortgage News Daily. That's always the one that we show here. And so what happened yesterday is we touched 4% briefly, and then we came back down under 4% end of the day. I think we ended the day on the 10-year at 3.996. To finish the day, we ended 30-year fixed at 6.94%. Okay, with the 10-year back up over 4 today and significantly over where it was yesterday, we're going to have a 7 handle today. So we're going to have a 7% 30-year fixed mortgage reading. Okay, so I just heard somebody say yesterday, somebody very smart. He's like, hey, we're using scripts now that, mortgage rates have come down. Well, that's like maybe worked 3 weeks ago. Stop. You guys got to stop with that. It's not the reality for the buyers locking in today. Hey, we're not where we were last year where interest rates got up over 7. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. That's the reality of this market right now. Okay, so I know that was something that people were using in January. This is why scripts are kind of hard in real estate, okay? Because the minute you learn one in 2023, it's out the window. It's out the window. It's not relevant anymore the next week. Just got to go straight with what's happening. Hey, we're at 7%. It's a lot more expensive to buy a home right now because prices have come down a little bit, but they haven't come down enough to reflect this increase. So if we're buying in March of 2023, lifestyle, there's always going to be, you're going to be in this market for the next 7-10 years. There's going to be a great property available, and we've got to be competitive in particular price ranges. If it's about a financial situation, it might be a different discussion. Conversation Rebecca has talked to the lender. What's your buying power today? It was much different 3 weeks ago as a buyer. So really having this updated information is key. If I'm the agent, I want to have that updated information. I want to be really sharp on it day to day so I don't get caught using an outdated script. All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties today, but just a reminder, we do have everything, that all our sources and all of our slides down below in the daily download. We're going to be in before the summer, before I'm up here, we are going to be changing this studio and making sure that the kid exactly tune into. Make sure you're subscribed to BAM channel. We are going to be actually showing you how we build this Connecticut studio. My Naples studio is dialed in. Our Rhode studio is dialed in, but for whatever reason, we've had some issues here this week. It's always a lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Sorry for any of the technical glitches this week on the hot sheet. We've got the walkthrough premiering at 5 p.m. Eastern today. If you missed our panel yesterday where we talked about getting prepared for tax filing season, go under the live tab here on BAM YouTube and check that out. And till tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, toodaloo.